But just for the sake of all the listeners or viewers who haven't met you yet, who don't know you, could you spend a couple of minutes just telling us, for the sake of an introduction for this episode, a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you've done?
Mm-hmm. So I think my name is Huyen. If you search me in Google me, it could be Luu Thanh Huyen Amon. So I'm a girl, love dancing and love people develop. And also a big believer in terms of Vietnamese talent, specifically young talent is full of potential. And there's a lot of value that we can create. And we are more worthy, but I think a higher value to be recognized in the labor market within the country and also internationally. So that is the so far my calling and the motivation for me waking up every day to go to work or do whatever that I'm doing to really improving the youth Vietnamese employability. My personal purpose statement is my purpose is to help people dance through life beautifully with their own talent, because I believe we all live with a pursuing of happiness, and the true happiness is when you can live with your hobby, you can do what you're good at, you're passionate, at the same time creating the best value for you and for society. Yeah. So professionally, I've been working since 2013, so a little bit more than 10 years in the aspect of human resources, purely in multinational company and in FMC. So been in two companies so far. Starting at we call it a management training program in Unilever. It was called Unilever Future Leader Program back then, and that is the program that nurturing me and grooming me up. So 6.5 years in Unilever, successfully graduated from the program and taking various, I think, position and responsibility in HR, both in majority in Vietnam at that time. And I'm taking care of Asia Business Partner, which is talent management, performance management, engagement, people development from marketing, sales to manufacturing. So that's, I would say, first 5 year kind of my career. Then in the next 5 years of the career, where I actually starting to feel like I'm making enough money to gain more happy. So I'm starting to have to question what else I can do to make myself more happy and feel more fulfilling. And that is where I feel like if I can create something valuable for the society and the Vietnamese youth in general, that will be something that me more enjoy life and have more motivation every day I wake up. So I'm starting with my personal project. It was original called the 10,000 project because it's basically aimed to reach out to 10,000 youngsters, which is students, to help them better career orientations and improve their employability. Then the 10,000 goals were met in 2018. So it's just after raising the bar up, and then it's now what you can be recognized at the Vietnam Online Career Orientation Center, VOCO, or VOCF is Vietnam Online Career Fair. So that is a part when after the 5 years in corporate, I start to do my personal hustle as social impact. And the thing is, I didn't give up my corporate ladder. So I continue to climb the corporate ladder while I'm doing that social impact. So continue working at Unilever for a couple of years. Then 2020 moved to L'Oréal and doing what I'm originally passionate to do is focusing more than 50% of my job in people development. Yeah, and also still a bit of Asia Business Partner for digital community. Then in 2022. I got an opportunity to taking a bigger challenge and a scope to really taking care of the young talent program for L'Oréal in the region of South APAC, Middle East, and North Africa. So I moved to Singapore, taking the role. It is a completely new role created and is really showing the commitment to developing the youngster in the company I'm working with. So I would say that would be in general. I've been 10 years in HR, working a lot with people management and people development, specifically for recruiting people under 2 years experience. Has been helpless already. So I think I run around more than 10 assessment center every year to recruit for fresh graduate and also help grooming them during their first 5 years of career so far. So that's a little bit about me. I hope it's not too long.
Wow, that's quite a bit. I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, if I were to introduce myself, it's like 2 sentences. So that was quite impressive. But I really like how you started off with you love dancing and you love people development and you help people find something that they enjoy and they're good at and help them dance through life. And I really enjoy that analogy. And I have to ask some people who are sorry, for the people who are listening who may not know, I'm friends with Huyen's husband, and we have been friends for over a decade. And you mentioned the dancing, and I know your husband is a big fan of dancing. Did you guys meet? It's a little off topic, but did you guys meet through dancing?
Oh yes, dancing make give me a lot of special things. So I met my husband on the dance floor. We was reconnect again on the dance floor. So, and dancing bring me a lot of different life story and very special friends that does help me to even, widening my limited belief of, yes, there's a lot of things you can do with your own strength, your own talent. You can create the career that that mean and matching your lifestyle. So definitely dancing is a very important and meaningful thing in my life.
I think it's when I'm listening to you now, I really like the idea of melding these two passions, and I can see how logically it fits into your career development, finding something that you're passionate about, and then now helping young people who are in school getting ready to go out to the job force find their passion. And I think that's so important because in traditional Vietnamese culture, it's never been about finding your passion, right? It's about finding a career that makes you the most money or gives you the most prestige. And so we're entering such an interesting, yes, exactly. At least I was brought up that way. Even though I grew up in the U.S., I was brainwashed to go into medical school, and even gave that a try at one point in my life. But do you? And this is kind of moving into some things I'm very curious about. Do you think that the current young culture in Vietnam are more inclined, more open to finding a career, not just for stability, financial stability, but also for something that's more personal, something that connects with what they're passionate about?
Well, I would say for the current generation that I have interacting with, I would say that top of mind or the first thinking is still the same because they're still being largely influenced by their parents. So well, you have to go to get a degree and then get a good job. What does good job mean? Good job mean you have a place to go to work every day. You are kind of okay or proud to say you work into that company, and then it's a stable income. Yeah. So the stable income is still a large concept in terms of finding a good job. High income or stable income is still the one. However, there is also already the thing is that after they find a job with a high income or stable income, the challenge comes, and when they realize that they don't really like the work, so they change the job quite quickly, and that is where they start to be looking or a little bit of lost in terms of what kind of job I can do, or is it possible to do the job that I'm passionate about, and at the same time give me stable income or high income. So I think that is one of the questions I receive the most from the youngster when I do live stream and talking to them every week. So there's still a lot of I would say confusions in terms of finding a good job, when the good job definition is still high income, good company, which is a branded and credible company, give you a high income, stable one, provide you a good career development. But then there's still a big confusion or lacking of self-understanding of what they want to do. Yeah. So I think in Vietnam, the most challenging thing is that the majority of the student doesn't have enough experience or enough information to clarify with themselves, is this something I want to do for the next 5 years? So we will not talk about, I'm not talking about doing for my lifetime, but this is something that I want to do for 5 years. So there's a very, very limited certain answer. So if I'm asked this for 100 students, maybe if I'm lucky, I will have about 20 of them can say, oh, this is something I'm clear that I want to. and be able to tell me why they doing that. And that's something very specific, not like, oh, because I heard it's a trainee job, I heard it's a very stable income. I kind of think that I like it. So that would be 80% of the student think they want to do the job, but only 20% of the student might give me a very clarity answer that convince me that they know this is the job that they want to do.
So, I mean, you mentioned there that people are searching for this, the perfect trade-off between a good and stable career and also whatever their passion might be. But so also, to what extent does work-life balance fit into this? Because one thing that we have discovered by talking to a lot of people these last recent months is that for many, work-life balance is becoming an increasingly important factor when choosing a career. But is it your experience too that a lot of people graduating from universities are thinking more and more on how to balance whatever the career they might choose with home and family life?
Yes, there's a rising concern, I would say. However, I have a very different perspective on that topic, because everybody's like, with my fast track career, with whatever I achieved in my 10 years career, how do I take care of my balance? And I also tell them there's no balance. So to me, the concept is work-life integration. And for me, because I was able to love my job, so I didn't consider my job as a job, like I have to do it. And it's something that I have to because I must. I do it because I chose to. So between getting out, meeting people or friends, I decided to go and meeting with my colleagues or working extra on my project, because that's what brings me joy. And at that time, when I talk about balance, everybody have different priority. If me now, already married, my time required for family is much more than me 10 years ago, single, fresh graduate. There's nothing I want to do besides, accumulate more experience, more knowledge, and expand my net. Yeah. So the concept of balance here is completely, I think, not fully understood by the young generation. When I say like, oh, balance is mean I need to have 8 hours resting, 8 hours, only working for 8 hours, and etc. So answering your question, is this a concern for the young generation? Yes, there is. They're asking about that. But on the other hand, what I'm seeing is that because they find the work is something draining their energy. So to me, that means they're doing something that is not inspiring and firing them to. Yeah? So they come to work because it's a work. Because they have to get a job. It's not because they work, because they like the job. So that is a very two different things. And once you do in a job that you are found it is interesting, I would say most of the young people I know doing the job that they like, they do it like crazy. For those who after do it for a month and they figure out that they don't really enjoy it, they drain after that 8 hours and they will just want to quit within 2 weeks.
The ones that come to you and express that they feel drained or they're burnt out. Typically, I'm kind of curious there. How long into the initial job experience does that take for them to hit their head against the wall and realize something's not right here? I can't continue this for another year or 2 or 3. I don't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. Is there an average time frame? I would think that these the younger guys who are coming out, they're just so excited to get started, right? So they just will sometimes jump at any opportunity just to get their foot in the door, get some experience, get a steady paycheck, right? But for the vast majority, I would assume that probably is not the right kind of job for them initially, at least the first job. And burnout is a very real thing. What's been your experience when you work with these young people?
Well, I would say the more recent generation, the threshold of the time that they decide to quit is getting shorter and shorter. Yeah. But it's explained in terms of both the condition of the society. Now they have so many options.
Right.
And maybe in my generation or your generation, there's the option is limited. And so we was taught to, we have to bear with it. This is work. This is how work's supposed to be. And we have to bear with it. And we have to, get over it. So because we don't have a lot of options. But right now, the option is limitless, right? Those who don't dare to quit their job, it's just those who didn't know that there's so many options out there.
Yeah.
So the times can be with those who I know they're very highly capable, they're starting 3 days later, they can quit. A little bit more, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, they already can. Yeah. But of course, that is for the job is what my like as an internship level or like quite a low pay salary. The lower the salary, the lower the threshold they can stand. But for some very highly strictly recruited for like management training program or a little bit more than 10 million per month average, that will take them some consideration, because then for them it's harder to find similar options like that. Yeah, so they will try a little bit harder. That can lead up to maybe 1 year, but I think the threshold with the young generation right now is definitely less than 2 years. And there was a recent report from TalentNet when they say that the Gen Z usually change job, whatever the reason, the average time for them to change a job is 1.8 years, when the average time to get a promotion is 2 years. So a lot of people in some cases, the story can be they trying very hard, they maybe feel like they sacrifice something, but they didn't get the reward in time with their expectation. So the changing will happen much frequent.
That's interesting what you said before also, that you know the younger generations might switch earlier, right? So let's just say in terms of having a job that doesn't meet your expectations or doesn't fit with you, you figure out that it's not something that you're really passionate about, and then you're going to switch job quicker than earlier generations would have done. But I think what you said is also important to emphasize, that I think in many cultures, not only the Vietnamese, but also in Western culture, Danish culture, which I know well myself, you're going to often hear that one of the main reasons why younger generations switch earlier is because they have less discipline, they are, less resilient and stuff like that. And that might to some extent be the case. But it might also be the case, like you're referring to yourself, that there are more opportunities today, but also that younger generations or the newer generations, to a higher extent, many places in the world are being raised now to not accept the same amount of, time in a job which they're not passionate about, right? So people are more, stick it to the man kind of mentality. I don't know, but it's interesting to mention that as well, because I think a lot of young people out there are also considering with themselves, is it just me who doesn't have enough discipline? Should I wait 6 more months or should I change now? But I wanted to ask you one question about something that you mentioned before, and then we can also go back to this. But I wanted to ask you, you said that, and tell me if I didn't get this right, but you said that maybe 80% of the graduates here, they go out and they find a job that seems prestigious, it's with a good company, and then they think that they're passionate about it, and they might not be, right? They don't know. But how are people supposed to know, right? So how do you think this can be prevented? Because there is just a very normal and natural problem that if you haven't been in the labor market yet, you simply don't know what it's like. You don't know. Maybe you don't know what your passions are. So what is your advice for people then? And how would you yourself help people prevent this from happening?
So definitely the reason why you don't know is because you haven't tried it, right? So, and this is reasonable that the majority of us, the young generation, doesn't have enough experience because they're students. But I think it's just an excuse, because I've just been back from Singapore, and when I'm looking at an average, like just average statistic, a graduate from Singapore, they already take 2 to 3 internships. They already did at least 1 to 2 capstone projects. They already visit 1 to 2 companies. Yeah, even in their high school, they already participate in projects and etc. And that's explain the success of Singapore. I would say Singapore is a very successful country. We should look into that. And the reason and the only tip I can give is you would never know if you never try. So how you can try it? Of course, if you have the chance to experience, is the best way. So find a way to experience kind of a problem zone. It can be a competition. If you're young, you can join competition from high school or you can actually start to do voluntary work from not profit, because they still solve some certain problem and there's certain relationship with industry, right? You can do part-time job. In my case, I never go for internship because internship requires full-time commitment, and I don't have full-time commitment. I want to graduate as soon as possible at that time, so I don't go for internship, but I go for project job. I go for temporary job. I go for if people just need somebody for an assistant on a research 2 weeks, then I will volunteer myself for that. So basically, raise your hand up to do anything that's come up, and don't think that I'm too young to do it. So I think that is the first thing, because a lot of question was like, oh, when should I start to experience work? I would say like, well, you should start since you can. Because if we are looking at international education, I'm sure in the Western world, there's more than in the Asia. In secondary school, you already have some student club, right? And some students is already, start looking at the work problem, sustainability problem, and they start to have projects. Not everybody's, but that is how we start to have understanding about the work, the labor market. So I would say, if you don't understand about the labor market, you should understand about what type of job that you want to do first, by try doing it. And don't set yourself like, no, I will wait until my year 3 or year 4, then I will start thinking, because then, to be honest, it's already very late. So this is why when I'm looking at the reality of Vietnam, that's why I'm starting to do something, minimal thing that I can. So I'll talk about early experience with what is the problem that we need to solve by getting to the labor market. So like my VOCO center, we will have some program that they will learn directly from a company by just basically understand, marketing in the company, what does it mean? What are the functions? What is the role of this function? If you see a banner out there, if you see a TVC, it's created by who? It's not, when you say marketing, does it mean just do creative? Or no, it's actually a lot of data analytics. So they can actually hearing from the one who does the job. They can try to do some small exercise of like, okay, this is one of the tasks. If you are working in marketing, you need to analyze this data, for example. Do they like this or not? And then they can have chance to come and visit the company, talking to the people who working in the company, and try to solve what is the stimulation business problem. So there are some programs I created with the hope that for those who proactively preparing for their career, they have a chance to understand. And this is something year 1 you can already start. You don't need to have
year 1 of college or
college. Like when you just new joining in the college, you already started, because it's a learning program. It's not an internship, because when you go there and apply for internship, right, then the company do ask like you need to have a certain professional knowledge. You want to intern for marketing. Well, they do look at, do you learn marketing? Or did you do something before related to marketing? So this is something that even year 1, they can learn about the knowledge. They can talk to the people in the industry, and then they can try to do some stimulation or business game related to the business. So I think this is 3 things, easiest way for tips for the students to really try it. And even for those who have already experienced and those who want to switch career, a lot of question was like, how can they convince people that they can do the job and they're willing to do the job? And I think the tips are always telling them, and of course, if your whole career was something else, then you need to, number 1, find the transferable skill. You can only say what you have. And secondly, try to find things that you can volunteer to do, to try if you can do it. For example, if you do in sales and you suddenly want to work in Asia, then of course nobody gonna hire you right away, except you did some volunteer in career mentoring, or you get into some networking and you help people to find jobs. And so some related voluntary things that you can do that will eventually navigate you and start to give you some relevant point in terms of your profile and experience that help you to both earn the network or the will do and can do talking point in your CV on your interview.
As you're talking, it reminds me of a topic that we discussed, Alex and I, in our last podcast with our guest. She mentioned the concept of pretending to be or not pretending, but kind of pretending to be a scientist and putting on your cap and doing a bunch of experiments. And actually, as you're talking, I actually see a lot of logic in that. If you aren't yet out of college and you have that 4 years of college, that's a lot of time to tinker and try different things. And it's in the doing that right? It's in the doing that you figure out what you're good at, what you're passionate about, what you find interesting, right? Because if you're not interested and curious about it, you're probably not going to take the extra step to go deep down the rabbit hole and really get good at it. And something as simple as you mentioned, reaching out, doing a project for a company, doing a really short job request, getting not only the experience but also the network that you're going to build from it, right? And also figuring out, okay, is this something that I see myself getting good at? Is this something that actually keeps me up at night, thinking about, am I finding myself outside of that project also researching it more and looking into it more? And I think if a lot of people did that, and if they followed your advice, by the time they got to their second, third year, even before the final year before graduation, they should have not only a very nice resume, a little, maybe half a dozen or a dozen or even more projects that they have completed that they can talk about and show, but also they will have a much more clearly defined idea of what they want to pursue in terms of job searches afterwards, instead of just, okay, I graduated, I have a degree, now what? And then you run into the big problem is you have no experience. And when the biggest irony of getting finding work as a college graduate is no experience, no opportunity usually. And so I think this is a very clever way. Do you at your company, do you connect students with these projects so they can get involved with to get some experience?
So when I run for VOCO Center, when there is a program, I do partner with companies. So they creating the projects and they directly teach the students. The student, basically they have the interaction with the student for maybe 4 to 6 months. The student can do solving the company project, do the presentation, and then the company actually can early spot out also who are the ones similar to be very promising for their internship or their fresh graduate hiring. So then it's just an acceleration for them from university to career through this program. And I think because you was mentioned that I'm just like this is a real case example. I mean, maybe I have 2 examples. So I have a case where he is an engineer. He's a aeroplane engineer, actually, study in BK University. He reached out to me when I started doing my work, the personal project of VOCO Center. He saw a couple of my episodes and he wrote to me a very cute message that, "Hi sister, I really like what you're doing, but your design poster look like you do it in PowerPoint. I think I can help you with some of design because I like doing design as well." And I was like, "Well, thank you so much. Be my guest. Come and help me." So he actually proactively come and offer what he can do for me, and he actually become my first ever volunteer. And I call them with a very respectful and cute name of My Team Minion. So he helped me with the home design. He then taking care of all my logo branding and stuff. And then he's now changed because he was know that he don't want to be an engineer already. Like engineering doesn't attract him. So now he's actually become already very happy with his career as production, like the one who do video editing in the production house, and very, very actively in it through just starting doing that voluntary job, creating a bigger profile, bigger portfolio, and then creating network. So he's now will be sometime doing event for Forbes because of his company. He's doing that one, or he's doing even like online creations material. So that's number 1. Number 2 case I'm very proud of. He's now the data science lead for Vietnam in Unilever. Also an engineer, kind of IT guy, studied 2 double major, but then I met him in an HR conference. So those students who think they want to work in HR and passionate about HR, they come. So, and then he just come and talk to me. Like, I think I'm really like HR. I have studied in data scientist, data analysis. If any time that, sister, if you have something coming up, just let me know. I would be happy to be supporting. Then, he was very big, guys. He was one of the less than 10 people received Microsoft scholarship to go to Singapore and study and stuff. But when I come to him, they're like, I don't have a job in HR, but I have an intern position in supply chain related to data analytics because you have the background there. Do you want to try? And he was just like, sure, okay. The most amazing thing about that person is I gave him an opportunity of an intern. When I found out he got recruited, he was recruited as a consultant with the salary, I would say 10 times higher than an internship. And then I asked him, what did you do? Because I'm just basically referring him the job because he was really impressed me with his passion and what he can do. And he was very humble when I say it's just an intern job. What would you like to do? And he already have an external job, like he's already a freelancer, an executive somewhere, and said it's an intern job in Unilever. Would you like to do? He very humble. He said like, yes, definitely. And when he come to the interview with the VP supply chain that day, beside he actually say, what was your problem? The VP give him, this is a problem. If you can come back to me the proposal in 3 days, they would like to see the proposal. So that little gentleman really come back and give the proposal, solving the problem of what he thinks it can be. So that's how he actually win a consultant contract instead of an internship contract. And of course now he's someone I'm very, very proud of. So I think that is an example for all of the people who are listening, how you create your own opportunity is you need to be clear of what you're good at. Right? What type of skill you have and ready to act for what is the problem that they need you to solve. Maybe is the job title something very weird that you never know or understanding, but just ask what is the thing, that value we want to create it. And think back on the skill and knowledge that you have. Can you deliver the value or not, to give you more confidence in applying for the job, or proactively give first before you acting. Oh, I would just do whatever you paid me to do. For a fresh grad or an early start, the concept or the mindset of I will only work as much as they paid me to is a very not wise mindset, I would say. Yeah. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was thinking as you're telling me this, a couple of things immediately come to mind. Number one is those who have whoever's listening right now, if they were able to catch the golden nugget there, which is just to be proactive. You mentioned the first example where the guy reached out to you and said, hey, I noticed you're doing this, I could do it better, can I offer my services? What did he do? First of all, he didn't sit around and wait for you to contact him or wait for opportunity. He made his opportunity. He created his opportunity. You could have easily said no, but of course you gave him an opportunity, and by that he already was able to make a good impression on you. And I think it reminds me very much of a story I recently heard, where this gentleman, before coming into the job interview, he actually went into did some research, found an issue that was affecting one of the employees. He had made friends with one of the employees in the company, and when he had his meeting with the head of HR, he had mentioned that one of the employees that he was familiar with shared a big problem within the company. And he had gone the next step in order to find 2 or 3 different solutions to solve this problem that he presented at the job interview. And it shouldn't be surprising to say that he got the job afterwards. Well, not only was he, I wouldn't say that he was the most talented, but he was able to solve a problem. And I think you talked about it a couple of times, was identify a problem and come up with a solution for it. And I think that's something that not all young job seekers realize. You mentioned that they go in and they will do just enough to get the paycheck, and
they stick too much for the job descriptions rather than all of these tasks, what is it for, and what is the value at the end I created.
Right.
So I think that is something, if you're lucky to figure it out as early, it's really help you to not just only get a job, but also to progress in career as well.
Let's talk about real quick why people tend to not be that proactive, right? And obviously, if we ask that question, one answer might be laziness or energy or discipline, but what in your opinion, maybe apart from that, are the biggest reasons why people have problems being that proactive?
Well, I would say it's not because of laziness, because human, we're all lazy by nature, but the way we was groomed up, or at the educational system and the culture in each country play a big part of shaping the behavior of a certain generations. Right? Why we call Singapore is the country of entrepreneurship, because from the government strategy, they influence into education, and they change the education's way to teach the student to be proactive, to be problem solver, not to be industrialization. And I think if you're looking back into Vietnam, well, we are an agricultural country. I think for certain years back, the government did choose that Vietnam will be an agricultural country, right? Then we come into industrialization process. And in industrialization, you are not trained to solve a problem. You are trained to do one task in the maximum productivity. You're gonna be taught to do exactly what been told, how you really be obeyed, and how you really stay within the frame. So educational is a big reason shaping a whole behavior and stuff, right? Recently in Vietnam, because of the living condition is definitely increased. So we have more free thinker or wide thinker. So what people who live outside of the frame is more and more, and they start to raise their voice. So I would say it's not because of laziness, but it's because what we train to do. So even in my own education system, right, learn by heart was if I was scored very high, and my talent was memorize things. I can imitating and memorize things very good, and it's one of the way for you to learn exactly how it is. So the concept of problem solving was not very deep rooted in the educational system from early age. University now trying to change that. So the way university train and the way of elementary to high school is super different. So the university education system in Vietnam is also trying to change that, try to be, problem solver and etc. But not all, I would say, not all is keeping up with that trend. So that's why I would say the career office in each of the school is very important, because it's like an acceleration push, because to change the whole educational system is take time. It's a huge machine, right? To change the whole program is hard, but maybe change a little bit of extra activity, a little bit add on is more flexible to change. And that is why I trying to do something within this career orientation, or partner with the career department to really get them understanding that the current way they was programming from the early age until now is not what gonna prep them for success in market nowadays.
Yeah. So one thing that I hear an emphasis on now is sort of skills, or to develop that problem solving way to think about the world, or way to think about whatever you meet on your way. So to what extent do you think mindset, components, or things like self-confidence, for instance? I mean, if we talk about being proactive, obviously one thing is, do you actually have the skills required to do whatever it is that you want to do? But also, do you have the self-confidence to do that? So my question now would probably be, to what extent do you think that things like self-confidence plays into all of this, and what can people do to deal with problems related to mindset?
Well, mindset is everything. If you ask me what is mindset is the starter of mindset. Influence your thinking, that influence your behavior, that's influence what people treat you. Again, back to influence what you think about yourself. That is the circle to make you confident, right? And the problem of Vietnam's young talent, and this is what I'm sharing, there's three big barriers. If we want to improve the employability of the youth, there's three barriers we need to crack. Number one is the limited belief. So our limited belief is very low. We only believe in what we can do until we did it. So this is the number one in mindset change. You need to believe it to see it, not see it to believe. So that's number one. Number two is that our life is, we create our life. So the direction and the orientation is very important. So it's not like you come to a company and you ask the company what you have for me. You actually have to study with yourself what I want, how company can support me, or how company become a means to get where I want to. Not believing your career plan to the company and say what you have for me. Yeah. And the third thing is about the ability to present or articulate what is your ability. So I think the third point is where is a weakness of majority of Vietnam, not Asia, Vietnam. So because we was in the 5 things alcohol teach for the baby. If you said in Vietnamese, we have that every elementary school student have that 5 things that alcohol Ho Chi Minh teach for the kids. And in that, one of the 5 things is being humble, being honest, and being brave. So the humble is a little bit over humble when you did something well, but you were not there to take credit. Yeah. So I think how to really practice it is a conscious of mind, starting with I'm telling them. So this is why I'm telling every stage and forum I can and say like, hey guys, don't believe in things that you're already able to do. You have to believe that you can do much more than everything you've never done. Yeah. So need to dream bigger than what you've done. Secondly, really plan and own for yourself. Understand yourself enough and proactively plan for your career. there's no right answer. It's right until you make it right. And the third thing is really work on presentation and communications in terms of, it's not humble anymore, but we can dare to take credit of what we can do, and practice to express it. So I think communication is a key skill that we need to work on that for Vietnamese generation, young generation.
I was kind of I was thinking, when you mentioned about Uncle Ho and the 5 things that he had communicated. I don't know if Alex, Vietnamese culture has always referenced, Ho Chi Minh as Uncle Ho, and might not be a good idea if we ever do a podcast and you say Uncle Ho was wrong.
Probably
maybe not the best idea.
I heard the Uncle Ho expression, but I never heard about the 5 things. I never heard about that before. So that's complete news to me.
Well, that you go into every classroom of an elementary school, you see that board in every class, even in the school itself. So that's what I want to mention about education. From 5 years old, you were trained. This is the behavior you was expected to do. So now to keeping up with the new workforce is a lot of reset or changing the mindset besides the skill set.
Sorry, An. You go.
I'm sorry about that. I was just saying that a lot of the Vietnamese people have a very difficult time because it is so deeply ingrained in their subconscious to be able to communicate, just to say that I'm good at this, or this is the value that I add. And then now, we're saying, okay, you need to be able to do that. But there's also, the need, and this is an art form, right? To do it where it's not too much, but not too little. And where's the fine line, right? Because it also can be seen as arrogant if you're
boasting
too far on one side, right? Do you at VOCO, do you provide any of these communication training? Because I think communication probably is top 3 skill set if you want to be able to find work, to present yourself in a way that screams confidence and screams that you believe in yourself, which is something that a lot of Vietnamese employees, I know that they believe in themselves, but believing in yourself and communicating that and making another person feel that is sometimes a completely different story.
Yeah. So actually, I do have that. I didn't have a communication workshop, but every communication is into a certain purpose. So for example, there will be some course and workshop in terms of interviewing skills. So it's about how you articulate the present your ability. In the signature program like functional speed dating, I will not train about communications, but there's a workshop about how you build your confidence from within. And then during the program, it's a lot of activity that they need to present. So I think it's not just learning, it's a platform where they can practice, because communication skill, it's not that you just sit there, you learn and you watch. You need to talk. So by providing not just only I think workshop or class or courses is the opportunity for them to practice their presentations both in English and Vietnamese, and then practice in interviewing, presenting themselves. So that is some part of the program or some kind of event that we would do in VOCO.
This is great. I mean, because I think this is something that we have discussed before on earlier episodes. Also, when we discussed cultural differences, for instance, because if you compare, the environment in Vietnamese universities to the environment in many Western universities, especially in Scandinavia, for instance, in Scandinavia you will have a lot of communication between students and professors, right? It's all over the place. It's almost more than the teaching itself. You're gonna have these constant. So you have a lot of training in communicating, debating, negotiating. It's almost. If not the most important component to Danish education, it's at least one of the most important. And I think one of the things that we've heard earlier is that this is something that's growing in Vietnam, but it's not, it's still relatively new, right? So I think it's really important that you teach people, just like you said, people are taught from kindergarten or whatever, like these 5 things that become an integral part of their consciousness. You need to be trained to communicate. It's a muscle, and you just need to train it, right? I have one question related to something that you said earlier also. So the reason why people don't find jobs that they are passionate about? Let's say that, we already talked about the component that if they don't know, it's because they haven't reached out and tried a bunch of stuff, right? So you need to try some things to know whether you're passionate about it. But even if you have tried a bunch of stuff, I can still kind of see it from the perspective of a young person that, even if I know that I'm not passionate about this, it's still, it's a prestigious company, my parents will be proud of me, it's going to be stable salary, whatever. So, I can see why people would still think this, even though they know that this is not where their passion lies. So I would ask, what is your number one piece of advice for a person in this position and actually making sort of a rational cost-benefit analysis, thinking, is it actually worth it to jump into what I'm passionate about, or would it be more worth it to just go for the stable solution?
Well, that is a very common thing. My personal advice is, if you haven't found your passion yet and finding your passion is not a priority, then go with the best option you have. So even I think in my case, what I did was, at a certain moment in time, there is a criteria to making a choice. So as long as you clear what is your criteria now, and then it's okay. So when I'm starting to work, I didn't know my passions was about people development that much. I was like, I need to have a job. Minimum salary is 12 million. That was my part. It needs to be in the part of where I feel that I can be doing really good. I do have like top 3 criteria for me to making my choice. Yeah. And for those who haven't got their passion yet, you cannot find your passion by doing nothing, right? And if there is a pressure, a financial pressure, that I have to survive first before I can live happy, then making that rational choice is up to each person. If you have financial support, you don't need to worry about your life, then you can continue your journey of finding what you're really passionate about, right? But if you do have a pressure, then okay, try to find what is the best thing, what is the best option, can give you stable income, getting you the skill you want, and getting you the experience that you want to discover more. The thing is, I think by the question you're asking, right, is also show that we believe there is a choice need to be right. So of course you have to make a choice if you have a deadline, if you have a problem of financial status. So try to prepare early enough so you don't need to make a decision at the deadline time when you don't have enough information or support. So that I think that will be, don't put yourself into that position. So don't wait until you graduate and then, okay, I need to make a job. Would I go to explore what I like, or would I go to, find myself something to pay me? Like, try to explore before you have to make the decision is much, much better. Right. So don't push yourself into the position like you have to make decision at that deadline. Right. You really can plan it out. And also, I am a big fan, and this is what I'm advocating itself. There's always a way out to find an end options. You can find a job that is what you like, what you're good at, and what paid you well. Or you can create that job, because at the end, you're going to be paid well if you do something really good. So if you find something that you're really good at it, you love it, starting point is not well paid, I can guarantee you, if you become the best person doing it in a certain area, you will earn much, much, much more and faster. So so if you don't know your passion yet, start with what you're good at, right? Because when you do something you're good at, you get a good result, maybe you find your passion. And I think one of the thing my tips is not about finding passions. When you come to work, right, it's not like, oh, I can only work if that is something in my passions. Because I think 90% do the job because of money when they first graduated. Let's face the facts, right? We have so the thing is, we need to bring the passion into the job. So you imagine, if you say a passionate person, what would they do? They're going to work constantly on it. They're going to go beyond the requirement. They're going to think about the task, even if they're not in the work. That's how a person passionate working in the job, right? So bring your own passion in doing the work that you have, so that you can see if you can really gain a great achievement or not. Because when you get achievement, it's fewer back. Oh, I really like to do this or not. So I think starting first, bring passion in all of the opportunity that you can do. That is the first step for you to finding your own calling.
Perfect.
Amazing.
I guess it's a good also time to transition to some more, I guess, information that some of the people might want to know. My question is, what are the industries that are growing fastest right now that you see in the market in Vietnam?
I think let me to remember, because there was a report, and I think I would just reference for those who like checking for TalentNet report or Vietnam Work and Top CV. These would be some report that you can keeping up, time to time. They do annual survey. They're going to keep you updated in Vietnam market. Just repeat again, it's going to be TalentNet, Vietnam Work, Top CV. That would be the three part I usually read the report the most. Yeah. So in terms of what is the trending up, definitely manufacturing is getting up there a lot. So Vietnam become a very promising manufacturing place for a lot of foreign investment. Then also we have the rising of IT. I think but it's more of outsourcing IT and technology. It's also very promising since up there. Then FMCG is always like my industry was always be never really high up, but never really low. So it's always there as the trend. But coming up for the trend for the every young people can look out for, that definitely is something in terms of energy industry is also be a big trends up there. Some controversial how energy can be really big, but there's a lot of initial sign that it is developing very well. Yeah, so manufacturing, energy sector, but I think the more of FMCG or medical is also like a rising one. Real estate is not as worse as before, but it's not really getting back yet as well. So I think that is some key highlight about industry.
We have, as you know, our community, there's a lot of people who are looking for remote work opportunities. So the same question, but applied now to what trends do you see for remote related jobs?
I think for remote related job, it will be not super booming in the next year, especially for country with heavy office in Vietnam. Yeah, I would say, well, economics wise, we are in a challenging time, right? And the prediction is we're not gonna overcome it very quick. Right? So the requirement remote work is, I would say, is more applicable for foreign company that based not in Vietnam. So when they're looking for an alternative human resource solutions, then they have remote work. But if they're working for company have the office in Vietnam, remote work is something not super typical yet. And it's actually after COVID, a very big corporation, and I can name Google as well, the very first one pioneering with remote work, right? They're asking the employee to go back to the office. So the demand for working remote is increasing, but the allow for working remote from the company is not that increasing. There will be only those company who completely remote, and we have that the home remote thing works extra, or a company who explore an external human resource from a different country, then they can offer remote.
Perfect. Thank you. I read that recently too, that there's certain big, some of the big tech guys, the FANG group, a lot of them are sending out emails and saying, hey, we're going to need some of you guys to, maybe show up more often. So,
yeah. So I would say, is this a talk? And there is a reason why for it as well. But being in the office build a lot of engagement for employee. And if you have in a company 100% remote, then the question is how you really build the engagement from the employee to the company. Yeah. So I think it's completely a different topic as well. But if you are young people, you're looking for remote work, it's more likely freelance or working for a company that is not have an office here in Vietnam. But there are, I think there are quite a few.
Another question for you that somebody had asked me, actually asked me to ask you when I was talking to some of the people in the community. What are some important elements of a strong resume when they're trying to put together a resume that won't be just automatically filtered off and that catch the attention of a hiring manager? As I know, also you do some advisory on resume building, right?
So for resume building, there's, I think, summary 3 things. A strong resume is a resume that's relevant to the job. Yeah. So in Vietnamese, we say it lean, I say it's lean Guan and lean get, so relevant to the job, and all of the points connecting to each other. It's supporting each other. So relevant to the job means, well, you need to looking at the job requirements, you need to looking at what is the job role, and then the way you only write what is relevant. Yeah, because it's not like 2 pages of everything that I've done. The hiring manager doesn't care everything you've done, they just care what you've done that is really prove that you can do the job. So summarize and only using key highlight of what is relevant to the job. Relevant here is in terms of knowledge, skill, and tool that you can use and master of that relevant for you to prove that you're able to do the job. The second thing is, if you say you're good at the certain skill, then in your experience, it should be thing that's supporting you to say that you can do this tool very well or the skill very well. Yeah. And the third simple advice I can share is in the way you write your experience. Like you say, I'm working at this title as this company, and then you start to list out the detail what you've done. The structure of that should be very short and sharp in terms of, number one, what is the things that you do, the scope of work, the tool that you use, yeah, and what result you deliver. Scope, tool, skill, and result. So that is usually the 4 things that looking at. Do you have that skill? Do you know how to use the tool? What is the scope that you usually work with or you have to experience it? And what was the result? So that 4 simple principle in your writing, what part your experience part can help the screen see the recruiter screen your CV faster, and also the hiring manager, when they look at the CV, your CV, they in their head they have my skill requirement. I have this job. I need this person to be able to use this tool. If they see that, it's already a first stand out. If you're writing 2 pages and using super academic, very hard to understand, but then didn't mention any of the skill, any of the tool, and any of the result that you did, then it's just worse.
All right. On to the next one. Why is networking important, and how can students start building their professional network?
They firmly say your network is your net worth. So I think networking is important in job. It's help you create opportunity. I think it's simple. And number 1 is help you to create opportunity. Number 2, it help you to understand what are you plan to jump into. So with a big network, you can actually start to get information about the industry, the company, a little bit taste of what you are going to, so that you can tell if you really like the place or not. And the second thing is the network help you to know the job opportunity, and also help you to be endorsed but more credible for the job as well. There's a lot of especially SME, like small startup company, they doesn't have enough branding, right? So when they need somebody, they was ask all of the people around them, oh, do you know somebody who this, and then recommend. So for small company or startup, referral is one of the main channel they get candidate and they recruited. So that's how important. And I met people who say they never have to apply for a job because their network bring the opportunity to them.
Okay. Interesting.
So and how to start building the network is you really need to build the only way for you to build the network and maintain the network is you need to have a certain value to give. I think that because a lot of students, I don't have anything, how can I start to talk to a person? If you have nothing, there's nothing for you to build. You need to find what do you have. And remember, even if you haven't done any job yet, you still have your time. And sometimes people just need your time. You can use your time, the time that you surf Facebook, the time you're wondering what should I do with my life, to go and help somebody who need your time to help with. And I think that is something, that's what I say, if you're a student, go for volunteer. There's a lot of things they just need your time. And by spending your time to exchange for skill, exchange for network, that's how you best spend your time when you're young.
Kind of a bartering system, right?
Yes.
Give values in hopes that you can get that value back. What are some online and offline effective ways to build a network, you think? And you just mentioned some, but
so I think offline is better. So online is if you're following somebody. So I think the example I share with you with one of my first minion, right? If you follow somebody you really admire, you're following whatever they are talking about, try to comment and give a value added comments on whatever they post. If they're posting to a point of view, you can actually join the conversation by sharing what you know, what you think, your personal research. Because even when I am somebody who work with the Gen Z, I want to hear from Gen Z point of view in a certain thing. So I start to get more talking point with those who actually come to me, not just say, hi, hello, Chi. I love to meet you, Chi. But those who actually giving their, oh, this is my thought about this. I see you talking about the topic. This is something I do extra. Maybe it can help you for research. There's a number of people come and reach out to me for that as well. That's in online. So you can join the conversation with them, give them feedback, supporting those who you want to build a network with. And if they if they need some help, you can either propose it, or if you see them doing something and proactively giving your support, I think is the best way to do build a network. Because I think the best way to do network is you give value. That's it.
No, I think we can easily probably drag this out another 45 minutes because Huyen is a fountain of experience and knowledge here. We'll leave it in the footnotes, obviously, but if somebody wants to get a hold of you, contact you directly, where can they go? I think you mentioned in the beginning, but for those who maybe didn't catch that.
Well, I think for channel, if they want to, follow and read what I'm sharing about trends and things, my LinkedIn would be a good one, because I post, proper information on LinkedIn, but I'm not super active in any message, so they should follow me to just read. But if they want to follow me, they can follow my Facebook, and reaching out my Facebook I would be more active there. Yeah.
Also, wanted to say this before I forget, because I had it in my notes here. Congratulations on your recent wedding, and also congratulations for your move back to Saigon to begin the next stage of your life with your husband Christian, who's a good friend of mine. And also congratulations. And I don't know when exactly you were mentioned and put in the 30 under 30 for Forbes. But can you give us, Ash, some more information about that? Because that's something that was really impressive to me. And I would love for our listeners to know more about that also.
So Forbes Under 30 is a recognition for people under 30 with, inspiring stories. So I was nominated and recognized in the list of social impact. So I think in 2022. And the story that I would say is that my journey to improve Vietnamese youth employability is the inspiring story. And I think the difference make my story a little bit more standing out, I would say, is because I didn't give up the corporate world while I'm doing my purpose thing. So again, with Alex, when you say should I do something I'm passionate about and something, give me the income and stuff well, we can find a way to do it both. But of course, I work longer hours. I have to prioritize something more than others. But there is a way for us to, both live a happy life, a purposeful life, and, have enough income to support for whatever our life needs. So I think that I can only think of that how my story is a little bit different from most of people who do social impact, because I still doing corporate and I still starting my own social impact journey.
Awesome. I want to just add one more thing. VietAssist and yourself at VOCO. One area that is very obvious that we're aligned with this passion for helping this younger generation of job seekers and empowering them with knowledge and education and helping them essentially upskill, right? I hope that there will be an opportunity, and we can discuss this offline, that we can maybe figure out some kind of collaboration to work together. I think what we're both doing is essentially very similar in regards to our commitment to reach back. I've said this before, but reach back and take the hands of those who are a little earlier in their journey, their career, and to give them the necessary skills, mindset, so that they can be more competitive on the not just the Vietnamese but the global job market. And that would be really cool. I would love because now I love doing podcasts because you get to know somebody a lot better, and we've talked before, but it's only in doing something like this where it's a long form type of platform. It gives me a much better idea of where you're coming from and where you're going with what you're building. So I appreciate your time today. Alex, you have anything you want to add to this?
I have nothing more to add other than I hope that we can do an episode at some point in the future, because just as An Lam said, I'm sure we could do an hour more now. Just, we wouldn't even need to have any questions prepared. We could probably just keep asking you questions and still have material for an hour more at a minimum. No, I just want to say thank you so much for taking now more than an hour out of your life to have this conversation with us. A lot of value and information, and I can't wait to have this episode edited and throw it out into the community so that people can listen to this. Really, really great stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely to get this time together, and looking forward for our next collaborations.
100%.
That would be great.
Have a great day, and thanks
Okay,
again.
you
Please
too.
give
Have
my
a great
regards to your
day.
husband. Take
Yeah,
care.
no,
Bye-bye.
he's waiting, so I better run.
All right.
Bye now.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.